ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of the stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, and again, Riley, it's going to be something with Mondays. I got the hiccups. OMG. Thank you all for joining us here for the closing bell on November 25th, 2024. It's Thanksgiving week. It's crazy. It's hectic. People are moving, shaking, traveling through the woods to grandmother's house they go. So we're going to do what we can to stay on the air, whether it's the closing bell today, the breakfast bankroll tomorrow, Ron Marmolewski at 12 noon. Mark your calendars there, or bringing in Paul Stone with Brady Kannon. What an exacta that is. Wednesday, 11 a.m. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership. Of course, it's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Viva Tequila Seltzer. CT Bets Austin, the family, announcing their new flavor of lemon. So now they have Cuckoo for Coconuts back east, and they just added lemon to the arsenal, a true six-pack there. And Terry Smith at AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Jump on over to Facebook, introduce yourself, place an order today. Use the promo code STEAKS10, get 10% off of your full order. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Without further ado, let's bring the co-host here so I can vent for a quick second. The one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What's up, champ?
What is up, my friend? Happy Monday. Ready to rock and roll for another week. I am interested to see what we're venting about. I know we've got plenty of, as we usually do this time of year on Mondays, obviously have a million things we can talk about with, at least just in the world of football, a lot of things going on, a lot of things elsewhere as well. But you know me, I'm always ready for a good rant.
Well, you know, it's that season where we're trying to transition, and our team totals in hockey and the hockey product as a whole. Go follow Barstools and Mr. Ice. He is colder than Mr. Iceberg himself, he's always betting the overs, whether it's a 6 or 6.5, and he's had some great success the last 2 seasons, and he is colder than ice, as this foreigner would say. But we've had great success on the team totals, but there seems like scoring has come to a drought. Transitioning into a couple first period overs, had success there. But I college hoops in full swing here, Maui Classic. We are really digging deep here. We're digging some real small schools team total unders. Had some good success early, Riley. Yesterday, we had Seattle in the NFL money line. That's a winner. We had Arkansas Pine Bluff team total under 61.5 against Missouri. They hit a 31-foot three with 30 seconds left to get to 63. Thanks for playing. But we got the cherry on top. Texas Southern, 66.5 under against New Mexico at 8 o'clock. And they hit a three with less than 30 seconds left to get to 67. So I sent out the alert early this afternoon, and you know, I'm not a homer. As you know, you've been with me forever. I don't bet or release games unless there's a reason. And I didn't say Memphis was not going to be competitive today. No. That wasn't my thought at all. Because UConn hadn't played anyone, Riley. Literally hadn't played anyone. But the one thing that Dan Hurley has that most can't, that will travel very good from stores to Hawaii and Maui, is defense. And Memphis put up an 82 spot. I knew at halftime we were in trouble. We had under 70 in a hook. They had 40 at half, but they only had 48 with 11 to go. I was like, okay, here comes the defense. What the flips happened to UConn today?
Are you seeing an updated score, my friend?
No.
Buzzer beater, 0.9 seconds left. It is tied. Memphis inbounding the ball with 0.9 seconds left. So that game is not over, my friend. Your UConn Huskies are alive. I pulled it up to see. I saw they were down 3 because I was getting ready for the show. I wasn't watching the game, and then and especially maybe I would have, but I saw whatever they were down 10 or whatever the hell it was a few minutes ago, and then I checked the score and they're down 3. Pull it up, and they heave a. I don't know, a 29-footer and sink it. So 1.2 seconds left. So it's not over yet in regulation, but your UConn Huskies are alive. But I did see he was getting in, trying to get into midseason form as far as hounding the referees. So got to get that rust off you as well. But no, I mean, at some point, this team is going to be very good, and you obviously know more about this UConn Huskies team than I do. But at some point, especially when you have this type of turnover, you're going to see some growing pains at some point. It was a miraculous what he was able to do last year to obviously be fantastic, but you got another year of huge turnover. Still going to be an awesome team, but it would be no shock if the Huskies had some growing pains here the first couple of months.
You know, it's funny because 2 years ago, Riley, we had a great start. We went through this gauntlet that we're going to go through now, and we had a couple losses, and they went into the Big East, and we struggled early in the Big East. We lost the first couple there. They caught stride. They had a hiccup. They lost in the semis to Xavier, I think, which I was glad. Then they go on the 6-game, not just win outright, of course, but covered 6 straight, cut the nets down. Last year, they go through the start of the year unblemished, even through this gauntlet that's coming up here, because Dan will play these Maui Classics. Then they'll go play a couple tough games at MSG. Then they lost the opener in the Big East at Seton Hall. And then they sheeted until they got to the senior day at Creighton, which they took off basically. They not only go and win the Big East, they come back to the tournament, win 6 in a row, cut the nets down, and covered 6 in a row. They've covered 12 straight games. So I do shows on Friday with Adam Trigger, and he says they're overinflated. He's going to find chances to go against them. I assume Adam was on Memphis today. That would have been my guess here. I like Penny. I like what he's doing. The real, and listen, this team, they lost 4 to the NBA last year. They lost 4 to the NBA. So I'm not expecting Duke scares the shit out of me. They went to Arizona and they handled business there at Arizona. Cooper Flag is the real deal. That team scares me. I know Alabama's going to be good. I know Houston's going to be good. I know
Kansas.
Arizona, Kansas. You know, your usual cast of characters here. This UConn team will have a handful of losses. They'll lose a few this year in the Big East, which I've seen so far, Riley. I'm going to say this out loud. I think the Big East is down a little this year, and which scares me a little because you want to really have some good competition. I'm not saying it's weak. I'm just saying it looks a little down. But overall, listen, I'm super stoked. You got college hoops all around. That was my little rant for the first 10 minutes. How's that?
Well, it worked. It timed itself out perfectly. I was hoping to be able to ease your rant a little bit with the news that they sent it to overtime and erase whatever deficit they had there. But no, it's going to be awesome. I'm sure we'll talk about it. There's an awesome game tonight, Auburn and Iowa State, top 5 matchup there. A couple other good games. Last I checked, my Redbirds, not that they're going anywhere this year, are playing right now as well. So it is a good week of college basketball, one of the most underrated sports weeks. Go ahead. And I know I saw you had them as some action on your card the other day.
Listen, how am I the biggest Redbird fan in the world? I mean, I'm the only supporter, me and you. And I took their team total under, and they were like the Warriors. They were just draining threes. I'm like, no, wait a minute. This is Illinois State we're talking here. This isn't Illinois here. What the hell came over them?
I don't know. It's you know what? They had some really good teams while I was there, which is now 10 years ago at this point, but and now it's a new coaching regime. They had to rebuild, so they've been trending in the right direction little by little these last handful of years. But it seems like it's going to be a team that could walk in and lose to the 300th ranked team on KenPom, and on their best day could walk in and beat a top 100 team per KenPom. Just that type of volatility. So it's been a tough watch the last few years. So I'm hoping for some fireworks this year.
Let me see here. Where can I start? It was a crazy weekend. Listen, I feel every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. in Vegas, Brady Kannon comes on, and he did tea time wagers with us throughout the whole regular golf season. And then what we did is we adjusted to the morning hours, and he's still stuck with us for the fall season. We'll be doing some NFL talk the next few weeks, and then I think there's a Tigers tournament coming up, which is like 30 golfers.
Yeah.
And then we'll take a month off of golf, and then we'll go in the full swing when they're back in Hawaii and then in California. For the third straight week, he had the runner-up. And again, how hard is it to pick the outright is one thing, but it's probably just as hard to pick 3 straight second-place finishes. Maverick McNeely comes out of nowhere, played well, wins the tournament, but I think the story, and at least social media took it, was Joel Damon trying to fight for his top 125 card, and I think he had like a 6-footer on 18 to get it, and he drained it to get his card. I assume you didn't see much golf, but there was some actual drama this weekend in golf.
Yeah, not watching a ton right now, but no, you got guys that McNeely, we obviously saw some flashes this last year. Daniel Berger's another guy that
that was his guy.
That was his guy. Okay, so at one point a couple years ago, it looked like he was going to be a perennial top 10 guy, and now trying to get his way back up there. So for guys like that who have slipped a little bit, these fall tournaments are a great way. We saw right before Max Homa kind of made his jumps a couple years ago. I can't remember if it must have been 2 years ago. Having some success in those fall tournaments, and that's kind of the jumping off point to potentially successful. At the very least, a lot of these guys that turn some success into January, February, March before the big tournaments, which is still some good momentum and some good money to be made there. So if you're like me and you love for whatever reason, I've had a ton of success in those January, February months. Paying attention at least to who's kind of trending upwards in these fall months is a good way to go.
UFC started at 3 a.m. my time, 2 a.m. yours, and at midnight where Lou is in Vegas. Obviously, I didn't see a scratch of it. I saw some social medias. I saw a female getting taken off in a stretcher there, which was kind of scary there. And the main event, some bedlam going on there. Did you see anything, or what did you see after the fights?
Yeah, not much. Saw some highlights. I mean, Jan and Figueiredo is still a big matchup. Both those guys obviously have been at the top of the sport. Jan is interesting to where I think Jan could have he's still 31 years old. I mean, so that's really not that old for UFC standards by any means. I mean, he was on top of the sport and then had that ugly, illegal knee or whatever it was to the top of Aljamain Sterling's head, and he was for lack of a better term, kicking his ass in that fight up until that point. Bounced back after that a little bit, and then it's been kind of ugly sledding since then up until these last couple of fights here, and he's fought some really good fighters these last two. So I think we've got another second part of Jan's career arc here to watch and expect him to be fighting for some titles pretty soon. I'm trying to pull up the rankings for that fight class, and he's the third contender right now behind another Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, and then Merab. So he's going to be in some of these big fights against some of those big fighters, whether that's Sean O'Malley or Merab there. So I'm excited to see what he might be kind of resurging back to the top there, and then Figueiredo. Still going to be a really good fighter if he wants to continue fighter, but I think that upper echelon of that division that I just named is kind of out of grasp at this point. He's fifth ranked fighter. I think he's kind of he's probably gonna, if he continues to be anywhere near the level he's at now and he wants to keep fighting, he's probably gonna move into that gatekeeper role of that division that we've seen a lot of these guys in their late 30s, where anyone who's trying to fly up the ranks and get to that upper echelon got to go through him. So, because I don't think he's going to be, we just saw him against Jan. I don't think he's going to be, Figueiredo's going to be competing against O'Malley or Merab anytime soon. So, two different career paths for those two guys, but I think they still have some worth left in the UFC for sure.
Hot stove talk, it kind of came out today, and I'll just give you my 2 cents, and what do I know, of course. Juan Soto down to 4 teams. It is the Toronto Blue Jays, it is the Mets, it is the Yankees, and the Red Sox. And also word on the street is that this decision will be done either during, before, or right after the winter meetings. This is not going on till January 1st, February 1st, like most Boris clients are. I've heard rumors 14 for 660 up with the Mets. Here's what I don't like. The demands. Soto will have an option to opt out in year 3 or year 4. So in other words, I invest in you, Riley Magnuson,
Right.
and you're my guy. I want to build the next 10, 12, 13 years around Riley Magnuson. And I am paying you top of the line. I'm paying you $45-50 million per year. And then, oh, by the way, after year 3 or year 4, you can say, hey, Mr. Dawson, thank you so much. ECSI was the greatest, but I'm going to go back out under free agency. That don't fly. So here's what I think's going to happen. Toronto's going to get shunned like they did with Shohei. The Red Sox, it's all PR. Their number would start with 400 million, 450. They can say they went to 500. I will tell you for facts, they will never write a check with a 5 in it. Okay. Now, I think he's going to take the Mets contract and he's going to walk into New York and ask them to match it. And I think the Yankees are going to do the same thing they did to Judge and he did with San Fran. He walked back with the San Fran, which was 50 million more. 50, and they offered him 50 million less, and Judge stayed. And I think he's going to do the same with the Yankees. Because why? Because you got Judge to protect you. You got that short porch in right field, and you're in New York. And now, granted, the Mets are in New York too. So I'm going to go on record today, 11/25/2024 at 5 p.m. and say that Juan Soto will stay with the Yankees.
I am not going to fight you on that one. I think the caveat to add to that is the Yankees. Obviously, I mean, they're, even if they don't make that, they're still going to be one of the top 3 payrolls in all of baseball. But I wrote a blog on it a couple of years ago. This is one of the longest title droughts that they've had in their history at this point. And if they want to, help end that, obviously they made the World Series this year, but they have to be that gross overspending team. And you're seeing the Dodgers assume that role now as the number 1 gross spending team, and it's got them a couple titles at this point. And so I think if you're the Yankees and you want to continue to be, you want to get to being back to being the evil empire, you've got to open your checkbook, whether it's to match your crosstown rival, the Mets, or if it's the Dodgers somehow opening their checkbooks even more, which would be asinine, but. One way or another, I think if you're the Yankees and you want to stick to that MO, I mean, you got to open your checkbook. And not only that, but obviously it makes sense as like all the reasons you said, and it makes them a better baseball team. So I'm with you. I'm not going to fight you at all on what you just said.
And I think that the Mets will come in with sloppy seconds. They'll overpay for Pete Alonso, and he'll come back. I want no part of Corbin Burns. Thank you, but no thank you. For the Red Sox and Red Sox Nation, I think you get rid of one of the young kids. You call up Seattle. I'm shooting for Logan Gilbert or Kirby. I saw Cassis for Brian Wu today. I don't have a problem moving Cassis. I really don't. I just, if I'm going to do it with Seattle, I want Kirby or Gilbert. I really want Kirby. That's who I want. I'll settle for Gilbert, which is not settling. I don't know if I want Wu. Wu doesn't super excite me. He's young. He's good. But if you had to rate the 3, don't you have Wu behind those 2?
Oh, absolutely. It's less of a sure thing at this point. I mean, could he grow into being that guy? Maybe, but it's a little more of a flyer than it is a sure thing with either of those 2 guys. And like you said, I'm with you. So I assume, and you again are closer to the situation. You got to get aggressive. I'm a little reluctant to talk anything other than the top baseball stories myself over here. I got a new manager in my back pocket, but. That's the only new shiny toy I think I'm going to really get this offseason in my neck of the woods. So I'm curious to see. I am curious to see, again, my neck of the woods, but obviously not my team. But I am curious to see what the Cubs do, kind of a team teetering on the middle and we seemingly want to be a little closer to at least division contention. Maybe not. I kind of put them, and we've talked about it, kind of being run right now in the similar range as your Red Sox, to where you like you said, you're not going to cut a $500 million check. I don't think the Cubs are either. They want to improve their roster, but they've won their World Series. They ended their drought. They're not going to go 200 cents on the dollar for what they want to spend. So expect them to do something, but I guess I'm curious. They're also if they don't do much, they're just as close to tearing things down and restarting as well. So that's an interesting one to watch this offseason.
Shout out to Richard Poplis. Great show this morning with Crack. Me and Crack. Yeah, it was an interesting show. Crack was all over the board today, talking food back east, food back in Vegas. We talked Circa, but I can't say enough about starting our Mondays with Mr. Krackenberger himself. He says, go Huskies there. Listen, you control a big part of the offseason, by the way. Your Chicago White Sox.
Oh, sure.
And I would be... And here's the problem. Lots of times you want to sit and wait. There's not a lot of big arms out there right now.
Right.
Again, who wants to pay for Corbin Burns? Good luck to you. I've said this all along. If I was the Angels, I'd call up Philadelphia and I would try to sell them on bringing Trout over there. I want to get out of the Trout contract. Our buddy Mr. Kikuchi hit the jackpot and now he's an Angel. I couldn't believe that contract. Comes over to Houston, gets a little of that juice. Next thing you know, he's a star and now he's an Angel where pitchers go to die. But my point is, you can ask a lot for Crochet. Because I think he's worth it. And for me as a Red Sox fan, he's priority number 1. You can go and get Corbin Burns. You can, they're saying all the right things back here. We're in on Fried. We're in on Snell. No. Go get Crochet. See if you can get Gilbert or Kirby. And then if you had to settle for Fried or Snell, if I could ever come back with the start of the rotation with Garrett Crochet, and then I'm coming back with George Kirby. Come get me, because I think I could figure it out from there.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you're right. They do control a part of that. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting look. And typically I'd be upset because you if you have the stud pieces, you might as well keep the stud pieces. But the White Sox have some good. The one thing going well with their farm system is some pitching prospects. They've got to fill some depth at position players and get some. Whether it be blue chips or borderline blue chippers in their position player farm system, they've got to fill it out there. So I just don't know when I can get excited about this White Sox team again, because we don't trust their ownership, and we are sold on a bill of goods that this decade we'd be currently living in the greatest golden era of White Sox baseball, which for what it's worth wouldn't be that outrageous. And I'm not saying it's multiple World Series. It's just competitive baseball year in and year out, and some division titles and some playoff appearances strung together, as opposed to anything huge. That would be the golden era of the franchise. But it's going to take a while for me to really fall in love with. I love my White Sox, but fall in love with a roster of the White Sox again. It's going to be a while.
Well, I don't know what the hell happened. UConn had a 90-86 lead. Everything's well, and then Memphis hits a 3, and then UConn hits a layup, 92-89. Then Rogers hits a 3, and next thing I know,
I don't know if there was a tech or a flagrant or what. I looked over. I've got it on my phone. I looked over, and Memphis was shooting, free throws with nobody there. So I don't know what happened.
it says technical 1, technical 2. Then he hits 2 more free throws. So he hit 4 free throws to take a 4-point lead.
Oy.
And Diarra is at the line for potentially to hit 3 free throws. Looks like it could be 96-95 with about 30 seconds to go. Dan Hurley probably in mid-season form there. All right, you got to lay up yesterday. I'll give you the stage. No Brock Purdy, no Boza. You knew early. This game was out of control. You did what you had to do. You stepped on their neck, 5-6, and the 49ers now go to Buffalo, where we could pull the plug on them, and they go to 5-7. I saw 4.5 early overnight line a couple days ago there. Thoughts on your Packers?
Yeah, like you said, you've got to be able to step on their necks. I mean, there's still aspects of the offense that could look better, but Josh Jacobs looked really good, and he's starting to get into that that form that you're looking for him to be in. Jordan Love had one ugly throw that should have been picked off, but other than that, no back-breaking interception, so that obviously helps. Christian Watson actually dropped a wide open bomb touchdown. Otherwise, 4 rushing yards, and that's all to show for his fantasy day there. So that one's nice and pretty.
I had the hookup, by the way. I sat him last week 4 for 150, and I got love on that team. I moved him into the flex spot, and I saw that wide open touchdown. And the funny thing is, the wide receiver 20 yards behind him started to celebrate, and I'm like,
yeah.
And he's got those big plastic yellow gloves on. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's he's dropped a couple of those. He's looking better health wise, and going forward, I'm still feeling good about him. But yeah, that one was an ugly drop. But other than that, defense. George Kittle kind of had his way. That was the shining spot for the 49ers. But I mean, if he has his way, he's going to have his way. So still hoping for the defense to get a little healthy and still play consistent. If they're putting together turnovers like that, then they're in real good shape. So Romeo Doubs went down with a concussion. So waiting to hear. That one might be a tough. I haven't heard any news, but that one might be a tough turnaround for Thursday night here. So. Need some other guys to step up. Kraft, I mean, he's playing well, but as far as getting let loose in the receiving game, had a nice touchdown, obviously, but would be very nice if he could kind of get back to being involved and playing really well in the run blocking and pass blocking game, though. But if Romeo Doubs is out, Dontavian Wicks, who came on the season strong, has been, I don't want to say ghost, but has not been very productive. And part of that is because Watson's been healthy and starting to play well. Dobbs has been playing real well when he's out there. But if Wicks is down, then Dontavian Wicks has got to step up because he has not looked great the last handful of weeks. So that's going to be a big point there. But for the most part, offensive line is looking decent. Jordan Love looking healthier. Had a QB sneak for I think it was a first down, if not a touchdown. I think it was for a first down. So that's always good to see when you're questioning on his health. So I think that is all in the past there. So if he can just start looking better and better, similar to what he did last year, and some defensive support, then I don't know if the sky is the limit necessarily, because you still obviously got to get through Detroit, but and Philly is playing real well. But if everything's firing on all cylinders, you feel good about what the ceiling is there. But Detroit is Detroit right now.
No, it's so funny too, because I'm going to go back in the NBA when I loved the NBA. And in most of the other sports, but I use the NBA as an analogy here. It took time for you to get to that elite level. So when the Celtics were the Celtics, it took Michael Jordan a few years to finally beat them.
Yeah.
In between, the Pistons were there, but it took you a year or two. It happens in sports all the time. As you're growing and the pains, and then who you're shooting for. I mean, let's be realistic here. The 49ers have been to 4 of the last 5 NFC championship games, and they've been to the 2 Super Bowls, which they lost both of them, of course. But my point is, the Lions, I was going to say Hard Knocks last year. Dan Campbell was just a riverboat gambling, had no problem going for it on 4th down, 2-point conversions, linemen trying to catch passes. My point is, they got a taste of it. And lots of times teams will take a step back after that. The Lions just grabbed the bulls by the horn, and they've been running with it. Business like this week at Indy. Apologies, Mr. Saylor. I have no idea what Anthony Richardson was trying to do. It was just ugly. Jonathan Taylor might have had 20 yards, if that. My point is now, last year at this time, they were riding high. In came your Packers 7-point underdogs, and it was the coming out party of Jordan Love. You boat raced them. They're 11-point favorites against Caleb Williams. They're showing the new OC there. Keenan Allen back into play. DJ Moore sightings. My point is, divisional rivals, short week in the dome. So just the Lions are taking care of business. But what I saw last night, it was kind of comical. Saquon Barkley, holy moly. And here was a Rams team that's playing a lot better. This was a big game for them. And at halftime, McVay goes, hey, we got to make a few changes. We'll be fine. First play, Barkley hits it for like 75. He runs for 255 and 3. That Philly team is cooking with Crisco. But the championship is going through Detroit this year. They're not traveling anywhere. And I said to my buddy, and I'll ask you right now, NFC championship game, Lions -6 against the Eagles. Who are you taking?
Plus, I'd probably take this plus the 6 with the Eagles potentially. They're just knee-jerk reaction as far as I think they're good enough to hang with them like that. But that's just knee-jerk. Maybe that's more telling of my knee-jerk reaction and going against that at the end of the day. But no, I mean the Lions, they do kind of feel like, and it's very different strengths between these two teams. But probably 10 years ago, the Seahawks with Russell Wilson get that taste in the playoffs, get real close, and then the next 2 years are just an absolute juggernaut. Of course, their defense was unbelievable and the strength of their team, but same kind of point stands. It does kind of feel like that. So, no, that Eagles team though, they do get a little banged up last night defensively, but at the end of the day, that offense, A.J. Brown is playing really well. I don't know that his numbers are jumping off the page, but those key moments on offense that keep the drive going, he's been awesome these last couple of weeks. So that's a big one. Diva wide receivers drive me nuts. And remembering him sulking on the sideline in the playoffs when they're up like 34-7 a couple of years ago. But if you're keeping him happy and he's playing well, that is a huge asset for him. And Jalen Hurts is looking solid. So for the Eagles, just got to keep Jalen Hurts playing well and everyone healthy, and they'll have a shot. So curious to see where it goes. But yeah, as far as this upcoming week is concerned with the Lions, not Not that's a good one. Not saying the Bears are going to win, but they have, of all their divisional opponents, the Bears have given the Lions a run for their money these last couple of years, even when the Bears have had some down years. Part of that was Justin Fields was unbelievable in those games against the Lions, but Eberflus and this Bears team has had a solid game plan for these Lions teams the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Russell Saylor, rumor has it that Irsay ordered a new banner that says held the 2024 Lions to 24 points. Touche. Memphis 99, UConn 97. So the mighty have fallen. Hats off to Penny. Hats off to the Tigers. I know Dan won't be happy. I didn't see much of the game as we were getting ready for this show. I do know this, UConn is not going far when they give up 99 points. So be interesting to see what Dan has to say and what the hell happened to the defense there. NFL, not much else to talk about. Again, a Barkley show. The Lions. I guess I'll say this, guys. If you go back and listen to our tapes in August, I was not buying Houston. I wasn't buying it, and it was no disrespect to D'Amico. It was no disrespect to CJ. I didn't like the acquisition to Stephon Diggs, who's out for the year. I didn't understand why they brought Joe Mixon in. Having a good year, got injured, but he's back. I said, guys, CJ Stroud made it look so effortless last year. Now you got a full year of tape on him. Expect some regression. Well, regression's hit, and it's hit hard. Those passes that he was completing are now interceptions. And where I'm going with this, guys, is we're seeing the emergence of a quarterback this year with a solid head coach that everyone next year is going to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs off. So I will go on record here at 517, Riley. Next year's CJ Stroud, meaning an amazing rookie year and is going to have regression, is Bo Nix. Bo Nix has been fabulous this last month. Fabulous. 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's got the best coach to have with Sean Payton. They look fabulous. So everyone in high stakes fantasy, ESPN, fantasy, Yahoo that goes running to the window to go get Bo Nix, just remember I said it here. He's this year's CJ Stroud. When you get a full year of tape on someone and you are able to go through that tape with a fine comb, you start to figure out tendencies. Those wide open passes or those needle in a haystacks are not there the following year, and they're still going to try to throw it. Not that Sean Payton will allow it, but again, hats off to Denver, hats off to Bo Nix, but just buyer beware. That's my point on them.
No, that's a fair point. And going back to that AFC South, Anthony Richardson can be a tough watch at plenty of points. I guess I'm bringing that up because Texans have a 2-game lead. They've got the double tiebreaker, the 2 head-to-head wins over the Colts. I guess I'm saying it's not over yet either because I've been watching this Texans team. They have the makings of some good players that should beat these bad teams, but they haven't looked great. I mean, the Packers they go into Lambeau and almost beat the Packers. Packers have to kick a field goal to win. You go back and watch that game. C.J. Stroud was bad in that game, or the Packers defense was very good against C.J. Stroud. Jordan Love gave him, gift wrap 2 or 3 red zone opportunities in that game. Otherwise, the Packers dominate that game. But the Colts' upcoming schedule, down 2 games, we'll call it 3 because they don't have the tiebreaker. It is discussing that the Colts are alive for the division, Russell. It is. Might not be more about them, and they'll probably lose a couple of these games, but they've got the Patriots upcoming at Denver, which is obviously a tough game, home for Tennessee, at the Giants, and home for the Jaguars. I'm not saying they're going 5-0 because they're not gonna, but they've got 5 games that they will be in and can win. Whereas you look at Houston's schedule, and they've got the Jaguars coming up, but they've got the Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and then finish it with the Titans. They've got 3 games that are going to be real tough, and then 2 that they should win. So I mean, if the Colts can find a way to rattle off a bunch of wins here and get hot somehow, and the Texans keep losing, then this thing somehow is not over.
Yeah, and I took a big kick in the jimmies as one of my top two teams going, Josh Downs, and I was struggling. Am I playing him? Am I not playing him? Then Anthony showed confidence in him, goes down. I'm hearing week to week, Russell. I don't know when he'll be back. I need him at least for week 15, so get me him to week 15. I'll be happy there. I know you guys got week 14 off there. Before we get into tonight's game or games, college, I had said all along we hadn't had the train wreck weekend. We usually get one or two of them. Well, we had a minor train wreck here. Ole Miss I just couldn't get it into gear, and huge loss for them. Just as I started kicking the tires with Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart, and then they Alabama says hold my beer, and just never in it. I mean, just absolutely never in it. Boat race there, and the funny in the SEC is my dog of the day in the SEC was Auburn. Took double overtime. We did give out Auburn first half. Easily covered that one. They were up 21-0 and 21-7 at half. So the SEC now, which if A&M found a way to win that game, they play Texas this week, which would have been the game. That would have been the game. But there was train wrecks everywhere. Ohio State, listen, I can't get myself wrapped around them. The books are telling me this is the team. I just don't see a Zeke Elliott. I don't see that quarterback. I don't see a Marvin Harrison. I don't even see a Terry Glenn over there. But they're just business-like on both sides of the ball. They're pretty damn tough, Riley.
They are. It's just a well-rounded team, and you've got a couple of those studs on the defensive side. I mean, Caleb Downs is starting to get that attention. Speaking of Downs, Josh Downs' brother, and he obviously returns a punt the other day. But he is that legit. He is one of the reasons why they're that good. And no, you're right. It's interesting. They had such a stretch of what was it? Garrett Wilson, Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jigba, and now you could really use one of those guys on this team, and they'd be no doubt the number one team in the country. They are going to have a real chance. And the interesting thing, they still would have won this game, but Indiana has it's 7-7 close to half, and then Indiana has some punt team blunder or 7-0. I guess I don't remember the sequence, but 2 punt team blunders, and the next thing you know, it's game over. So Indiana is still getting a little credit per the AP at least. I'm interested to see where the college football rankings come out. They get that help from the SEC. Had all those SEC teams won, Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M, Indiana would really be in some hot water, but luckily for their sake, those teams lose. Texas A&M obviously could have not punched their ticket, but been on the inside, looking out had they won that game. And I can't remember where I heard it, but it was just a week where these teams had snake pits that they had to go to. You've got teams that have been underachieving like Florida, but if you get a motivated Florida team in their home building, they're obviously going to be tough to beat. Same thing with Oklahoma, Auburn, Penn State. Close game against Minnesota. That one, a Minnesota team that, you could argue probably wouldn't be that big of an underdog on a neutral field against Indiana. They've been that kind of dark horse Big Ten team that, despite Illinois, the other 3-loss team in the Big Ten, Minnesota is favored on the road at Illinois. So that one was a near escape for Penn State that could have been a bad one that they still would have been in with. I can't think of who they play this upcoming week, but nothing too serious. But nonetheless, it's an interesting week, and you got some teams that obviously win and strengthen their position and look, almost secured. The top 6, 7, 8 teams, pretty damn secure in the college football playoff now.
Coach Prime, they played a Kansas team who had knocked off BYU the week before. I loved Kansas all week, and the one thing that scared me a little was it wasn't on campus. It was at Arrowhead, the Chiefs' home field, but boxed a wire. So now Coach Prime is outside looking in, and over there. SMU is now in the catbird seat. I think I heard they'll play Miami, win and end there in the ACC title, if I remember correctly. Arizona State coming out of the clouds.
Yeah.
No one's talking about them. We had them this weekend, but no one's talking about them. So hats off there. We'll be talking a lot of college throughout the week here as we get closer to the last weekend, and we'll figure out the scenarios there. Tonight in the NFL, Ravens Chargers, the Harbaugh Bowl. I have big implications on my best team, or was my best team, trying to chase down $250,000. We got Lamar with Henry, with Tucker. I really could use a big showing from them. This is a team that likes to play with their food, and they've shown flashes of greatness when they're cooking on all cylinders. I think pound for pound, offensively, the best team in football. It's not even a debate in my eyes. Now, you could say the Lions, you could say Philly, but I'm just saying, when Henry's running downhill and Lamar is running and passing, they're a tough out. The problem is their defense sucks this year.
Yeah.
Sucks. Now this rejuvenated 7-3 Charger team with Harbaugh, a healthy Herbert, Quentin Johnson, who last year I called pizza pan hands, is catching touchdowns. Lad McConkey, when he's healthy, is productive. Look out for Will Disley. But the difference between the two teams, the Chargers have a defense and the Ravens don't.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I'm not saying that the Ravens offense can on their best day is going to put up numbers against anybody, but this Chargers defense matches up kind of well against them. So I'm interested to see where it goes, and then I pull up the total, and it's 50-51, whatever it is. I was expecting low 40s, without looking at any numbers whatsoever. Just thinking brothers who know each other's coaching styles. You've got you're probably not going to air it out too much, at least when your first thought with these teams, but they might have to go that route. So I'm curious to see where it goes. Like you said, this Chargers team, and we've talked about it. You and I are probably the leaders of the Justin Herbert bandwagon and the believer train, whatever you want to call it. Really one stud, or one of the guys that you mentioned growing into a stud, away from being as dangerous as anybody in the league. But they got a giant payroll these last few years on their defense, and now they finally have a guy who can instill the right culture. So I don't know what to expect tonight, other than I think it is going to be a really, really good game. Like you said, Ravens offense, when it's coming, it is as tough to stop, if not the toughest offense to stop in the entire football league. So you almost have to think that Lamar is going to have to air it out a little bit, because I'm sure they'll try to run the ball, but this Chargers defense is going to be expecting that. So they're going to probably make Lamar beat them with his arm there, Zay Flowers, Bateman, whoever else. So I'm torn on this one, man. I am really torn on this. I don't know what to expect. I guess I'm leaning towards some points with the way that total is going, and maybe they're airing the ball out a little bit more. What about you?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid tonight. I think this is a Ravens downhill. Now, I don't tell anyone to run to the window to lay the minus 145 or 150 money line, but if you're doing some parlays or something, I don't like to leave 2.5s. It's now 3 even money at Circa, which means the next move's to 2.5. Superbook has 2.5. Caesars has 2.5. South Point, DraftKings, and Circa at 3 with a 51. The initial thought, to me, they're telling you 27-24. I like the Ravens team total over 26.5. I like them to win the game. So again, I'm not going to say lay the 3 or the 2.5. I do like them to win the game. So however you want to proceed with that, minus the 145, 150 on the money line. It is what it is, because I fully expect them to be able to move the ball today. I do. I'll go on record here. On my Ravens side, I'll go cutesy here. Isaiah Likely first touchdown and anytime touchdown. I'll stick with the tight end over there. And then on the Chargers side, Jesus, Keenan Allen would have had a huge day here, obviously. Yeah. Quentin Johnson, Lad McConkey. I'm going to go tight end. I'm going to go Will Disley, first touchdown anytime as well.
Isaiah Likely, 380 for the anytime and 25-1 for the first time. Will Disley, 245 anytime, 18-1 on the first time. If this game was on Thursday night, I think I'd be pretty not heavy on the Chargers, but would heavily lean towards the Chargers, just for the fact of kind of what we saw. And again, there was elements in that game, but Steelers have to go to Cleveland on a short week after a hard fought game against their bitter rivals in the Ravens. Had the roles been reversed, and the Ravens, despite losing that, have to go on the road on Thursday night, short turnaround after that hard-fought game, I probably would have all over the Chargers. They get a few extra days of rest from that game, and so you get a nice little reset there. I think it's going to be a good game. I'll go Lad McConkey because I've been waiting for old Lad. 165 anytime, 12-1 on the first time. And then I will go. I'll go Justice Hill, a little swing pass touchdown, 450, and 28-1 on the first time.
I'm gonna go run down the hockey right now. There's a lot of games tonight. I'll just give you some team totals to take a peek at here. Florida team total over 3.5 plus 105 against Washington. Vegas team total over 3.5 plus 115 at Philly. New Jersey 3.5 team total over plus 120 against Nashville. Carolina team total over 3.5 plus 115 against Dallas. Rangers team total over 3.5 even money. New coach Jim Montgomery. Former Boston, now St. Louis. It took all of 3 days for him to get rehired. Ottawa team total over 3.5 plus 120 against Calgary. This one's a little juicier. Islanders team total over 3.5 plus 125 against the Red Wings. And lastly, the Kings team total over 3.5 plus 100 at San Jose. If there's any college or NBA you want to talk about, the hardwood is yours, brother.
The one that I wanted to mention in the NBA real quick, Mavericks and Atlanta. Atlanta 7-10, getting the home love -3.5 on their home gym against this Mavericks team. Coming off of before yesterday, had a nice little win streak going on. Lose in overtime against Miami. Now have to turn around. Short trip to Atlanta. Atlanta. Not playing great as of late yet, still getting the 3.5 love here. You do obviously have to look for Luka is out of this game. Kyrie is a game time decision, but I know he was in shoot around, so stuff to watch for as always in the NBA with injuries a few hours before game time. But was giving a little love to Atlanta as the home favorite there with Mavericks coming around on a back-to-back there. And the Hawks, starting to get to a point where they need to start churning some wins out here. Nuggets 3.5 point short favorites against the Knicks at home here. I believe, unless it happened the other day, I believe this is the return. No, I'm sorry, Jokic did play the other day, so has got a couple games back under his belt here. But would have respected a bigger number than 3.5 at home with the Nuggets here. I know it is the Knicks, and the Knicks, one of the better teams in the East, but they're playing well. But would have respected a bigger number here for the Nuggets there. Other than that, there's some big numbers in the NBA, man. You got your Celtics at home, 10.5 point favorites. You got the Warriors, 13.5 point favorites against a overachieving 7-10 Nets team who are about to hit some regression at some point here. Pacers need to get it going. 6.5 point favorites at home against a bad, banged up Pelicans team there. So NBA is a little interesting tonight. You got the Pistons only 5.5 against a bad Raptors team at home. Pistons maybe a little inflated. They've been I feel a little vindicated that they're at least a tough, scrappy team. But 5.5. I'm not sure they're 5.5 points better than anybody yet.
Thievery still going on in the NBA. I had to laugh my ass off. Someone did a tweet that Kawhi Leonard will not be eligible for any season awards because he's already missed the allotted 18 games. Thievery there. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Bonnie and Clyde, you should call them, because they're thieving right now. And of course, listen, I don't root for this. You got to dig way back to the archives, but I was on with Pop DiBiase, may he rest in peace, when we were talking about Zion coming to the NBA. They're showing the windmill dunks, and he goes, Chef, give me your comparison. And I was blunt. I says, I don't root upon this, but I compared him to the next Greg Oden, and he's been nothing but injury prone. Came out today or yesterday. Not even close to being back. And he won't be back for December. So, again, unfortunately, I think he's going to need that change of scenery. They had talked about New York and the Mecca. I don't think they could swing that deal anymore. He'd get healthy real quick getting out of New Orleans there. And the
the crazy part is he's still going to get a ton of money wherever his next contract is. That's the crazy part about it.
Oh, it's like T. Higgins. He's the Patriots are the leader in the clubhouse. They're going to go pay this guy $30 million a year. He's going to be happy for 4 games, and then he's going to get hurt. They're thieves. But the return of the unicorn, Mr. Porzingis, is back tonight for the Celtics. A couple losses they didn't expect. Number is inflated. I'd go under every Porzingis prop to mankind. He came back for that one game against Dallas, and I think they scored 25 points in the first quarter, and he had like 19 of them. So he's coming in earlier than expected, so expect good things there.
Yep, interested Bulls and Celtics on Friday for the last NBA group play game there, and assuming the Bulls can get through the Wizards tomorrow night, which is not, I shouldn't go and make that rash assumption because they're only 4.5-point favorites. But that'll be the Bulls' Super Bowl of the first half of the season here with what they've got. Trying to, if they win that, they'll be in the elimination rounds, whatever it is. So that'll be my Bulls' Super Bowl for the year right there on Friday, unless they lose to the Wizards tomorrow, which is very possible.
I'm going to look quickly in the college board, see if anything is moving that people should know about. North Carolina A&T and Buffalo open to pick, now 3.5. I'll say it here. Keep an eye on North Carolina A&T plus the 3.5 there. Anything else? St. Louis opened up at 6.5, now 9.5 against Quinnipiac. Keep an eye on the Qs, plus 9.5 there. Let's see. Illinois, here you go. Your Illinois versus Little Rock opened at 19, now 23. Keep an eye on the Little Rock team. Let me see what it is here. I'll give it to you right now. Little Rock team total under 64.5 there. Keep an eye on that one. Locally, BC plays Missouri State. BC's been up and down. Had a surprise win the other day. Opened at 3, still 3. Keep an eye on Missouri State plus the 3 at 3.5 there if you're shopping. Colorado plays Michigan State. Opened at 5.5, now 7. A down year for Colorado. Sparty will win this game. I don't know if they'll cover. Auburn, Ohio, Iowa State. These are two. The winner of this game will probably face, obviously, North Carolina. Auburn was the second favorite at plus 330 to win Maui. Now that UConn's out, Memphis is there. I'd like Iowa State plus the 3.5. I think it's an under as well. I'm going to get cute here, people. Take a look at the Auburn team total under 74 there. And lastly, Dayton, North Carolina opened at 7, now 9, inflated number there. Keep an eye on the Flyers. That game actually should have some points. And last but not least, Clemson opens up at 1.5, now 3 against my San Francisco Dons, who just lost to Memphis over the weekend or on Friday. Keep an eye on San Fran here, plus the 3 against Clemson. Michigan, Vatek, good game. Michigan getting some love, and I know the name. And what's the coach's name again?
Dusty May.
Dusty May opened at 11, 10.5. A big number. So keep an eye on the Wolverines. There are some 10s there against a good Virginia Tech team. Xavier opened up at 6, now down to 5, 4.5 in some spots. South Carolina Gamecocks getting some money there. And lastly, speaking of South Carolina, the women's team lost its first game in 4 years or some stupid thing. I think at UCLA, which again, it's South Carolina, UConn, USC, and in comes UCLA. Closing thoughts.
Nothing too crazy. We've got a probably, like you said, an interesting week with Thanksgiving. Going to be an awesome week of all-day sports action in a lot of cases with these college football, basketball games, and then later in the week some college football. So I am going to be ready to roll. I don't know. I might not be available tomorrow, but I am good to go Wednesday, Friday, whatever we want to do, my friend. So nothing too crazy other than that. Just enjoying some hoops this week. Like I said earlier in the show, one of the more underrated sports weeks of the year, or certainly one of the most underrated college basketball weeks of the year, other than February and March. This one's right up there for me.
The Black Friday, which everyone is the day after Thanksgiving, that's what everyone knows now is Black Friday. For me as a kid, it used to be great. It used to be Nebraska, Colorado, and congrats to Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers. They're going bowling. Box to wire against Wisconsin, and hats out to BC Coach O'Brien as they defeat UNC. They'll be going bowling as well there. But I used to love those games the day after Thanksgiving there, and it's kind of turned into a shit show. So, but as you said, you and I will be back on Wednesday. We'll try to get a show in before everyone's getting ready for Thanksgiving, and then we'll be back. We'll be dark here on Thursday. Friday, I'll have the NCAA Insiders, and then I'll have Adam Trigger on after talking some college hoops. And then you and I, the sooner the better, we can get a closing bell together for Friday. And Saturday, I will be at BC for their last home game against Pitt, a meaningless game for BC. And I don't know if Pitt will have anything on the line there. So I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Russell Saylor, Richard Poplis. The Huskies are now not undefeated, so there goes the perfect season, which we both know was never going to happen anyways. But I want to see him rebound here, no pun intended there. Bounce back here in the game, their next game, which I assume will be the loser of Auburn and Iowa State. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, at EC Sports Investor, one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. We got college hoops. We got a great NFL game tonight, some NBA, some NHL. New day, new start of the week. Be grateful. Be grateful. It's Thanksgiving, and I know we like to bitch, yell, scream, holler, complain, but I can guarantee you this: if you look yourself straight in the mirror, there's a lot of less fortunate people than yourselves. So give yourselves a break and have a good night, and we'll see you soon.